Welcome, welcome. I am your welcome wagon, Travis Pangburn. Thank you for showing up. I'm just on a little bit early to make sure everyone's invited on social media, make sure we get as many people coming out for this as possible. Invite your friends. Invite your friends. We still have 20 minutes until we're going to get going. Awesome. Going to share on the Pangburn page. Say hello when you get into the chat to let me know that you are here. How are you guys doing? How are you holding up? Tell me where you're chatting in from. Okay, so this. Okay, cool. I will share that. And this is part 3, guys. We are doing part 3 tonight of Dillahunty versus D'Souza. We will get through the rest of the debate tonight. So we will be finished with this watch party. The Dillahunty versus D'Souza saga after tonight. Let's do share in groups. We're going to share this with Pangburn. But yeah, I hope you guys are hanging in there through this very strange time in modern history. We're going to share in Trump, this President Trump group. We'll try and get some Trumpsters out here. That would be good for the chat. We'll go debate. Yeah, let's do that. I'm just sharing with a bunch of groups on Facebook right now, guys. Just FYI. Let's see, a couple more. Share in a group. Welcome, welcome. Howdy from Texas. Critical says, who's Dillahunty? Also, hit that like button, guys, when you get into the room. More people will come to the stream. I really appreciate it. Debate. Yeah, we'll go there. And we'll also share. I'll share it with my friends. Share. Let's go one more group. Okay, cool. All right, all right. We are a bit early here. Thank you for hitting that like button, guys. Really appreciate it. Better share with Twitter. I will be taking calls, guys. If you want to call in on Skype, we can essentially talk about anything. But we should try to keep it to topics that Matt and Dinesh are going to be touching on. That would be cool. Tyler Girano, welcome, welcome. New to the chat. I just says, I just stumbled in quite randomly, may or may not stick around. Cool, feel free to come and go as you please. Hopefully you eventually subscribe. What we're doing here tonight is doing a watch party together of the final part of Matt Dillahunty versus Dinesh D'Souza debate discussion. And I offer some live commentary, but I also interact with you guys and the chat. At about halfway through the live stream that we're doing here tonight, the watch party, I will take some calls on Skype if anyone's interested in calling in. Skip Bellin, welcome, saying playing Madden in background, but I'm listening. Awesome. Cool. Seven Ginger Ninja says, hello from China, expat from England. Hello. How are things over in China? Let us know. Remember, when you guys get into the room, to hit that like button. I really appreciate it. It just helps this stream get noticed a little more. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. You know what? I wonder if I should turn on my live quickly just to invite Twitter. Yeah, I still got 15 minutes. Okay, I'll do this on Periscope. I'll probably do one for, whatever. Okay, I'll do this so I'm not too much of a noob. All right, I want to go to Twitter. Join us for debates. Join. Okay, that should be good. And what the hell do I hit to go live again? Oh, I think I got to go like this, and then go live. Oh, I think I'm gonna keep it straight up. I'm just, for anyone that's wondering what the fuck I'm doing, I'm just doing a quick live on Twitter. What up, Twitter? What up? We are live for our watch party. We got about 15 minutes until we get started. It's going to be the third and final part of our watch party series of the Matt Dillahunty versus Dinesh D'Souza debate. I am going to be hosting this live stream tonight. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Travis Pangburn. And everyone's welcome to engage in the chat and let us know what you think, and then I will read your guys' comments and respond to them. And about halfway through the live stream, I will take calls through Skype, live calls on the air. So if you're interested in calling in, rock and roll. And we can essentially talk about anything. And then we'll finish off the evening with the last part of the debate. So yeah, I hope you guys can join us. Those of you on Twitter, pop over to youtube.com/Pangburn and you'll find our live stream link because we are live right now. All right, thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you there. Okay, that wasn't so grueling. Yeah, any of you guys invite some people that might be interested in this. That would be awesome. Share with your Facebook groups. Share with your social media accounts. You guys rock. Oh, I wonder if I can copy and paste that so I can use it on. Oh. Okay, I don't want to play it. I just want to use the label. It's not going to let me, is it? Oh, you douches. Oh well. I will do the same thing for I think I can post. Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. We're going to go with video. Do I have to hold this down or can I just tap it? Oh, press and hold. What up, Instagram? It's me, Big Head. My head looks huge on here. Don't call me Big Head. We are live on YouTube right now, youtube.com/Pangburn. We are doing a live stream watch party tonight. The final leg of the Dillahunty versus D'Souza trek. So we'll be doing live commentary and talking about the final part of the debate. And about halfway through the watch party, I will take your calls through Skype if you're interested in calling in. How much time do I got left? I got like 30 seconds. And what else do I need to tell you? Yeah, just come to youtube.com/Pangburn. We're having discussion tonight. It's a watch party with everyone. Yeah, you get to get involved in the chat, and we'll have interesting conversations. So I hope to see you there. And if you don't show up, I hate you, and I will come and find you and kill you. But not really. I don't want this to get demonetized. Oh my God, I'm out of time. Okay, so next. Now I got to put a label on it. Do I want to put a filter on it? It's me, Big Head. My head looks huge on here. Don't call me Big Head. We are live on YouTube. Okay, I'm an idiot, but I'm posting that. When you get into the room, say hello. Tell us where you're from. Tell us everything about your. Tell us something you've never told anyone. No, don't do that, because then you're open for me to roast you. Okay, sharing right now. That's shared. Instagram shared. Have you guys done all your sharing? I hope so. We got people in the room. This is great. Hello from Phoenix, Arizona. How are things in Phoenix, Arizona? I bet the heat is just killing this weak-ass virus that's going to be annihilated. No, the virus is probably going to always be around, just in different forms. Yeah, a lot of people saying they miss Hitchens. Yeah, I miss the Hitch. I sometimes just fall asleep to Hitch slap compilations. Oh, speaking of compilations, the first Best of Me compilation is up on the channel. I hope you guys head over and give it a like. It's the first one, so, you know, it's not going to be the best thing ever. But I want to get more compilations out there. Some lighthearted ones, because the lighthearted stuff really attracts people who attracts the people who aren't necessarily interested in coming to a channel like this, because they think it's too stuffy and too not fun and things like that. Like, it's a bunch of people twiddling their mustaches and smoking cigars, but it's not like that at all, of course, those of you who have been here. But anyways, here's the first compilation. Even if you fucking hate it, please go over and like it. There's the link. First comp. Thank you guys so much. You guys rock. And thank you for getting here early. Usually all you motherfuckers are waltzing in late. No, I'm kidding. You're all generally on time. If you're not subscribed yet to the channel, what have you been doing with your life? Please. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We're going to be releasing a lot more new content. A lot more videos are going to be coming in. I definitely need help with that. Anyone who has a passion to want to create content or create a segment that would work for a channel like Pangburn, get in contact with me or us at info@pang-burn.com. And if you just have basic editing, video editing capabilities, and you want to make a video once in a while here or there, we will do profit sharing with you on the content you create with the ad revenue generated from YouTube. So get in touch with us. Yeah, and it doesn't matter what your ideological background is. I don't care about that. I love hearing ideas and perspectives from all different kinds of ideologies. If it's stupid what you're saying, a bad idea, I'll always go to war with you, but that's just who I am. Who else we got in the room? Skip Bellin, welcome, welcome. I've seen these two have a discussion with other people, but not with each other. Yes, this is me bringing Matt and Dinesh together was the first time in history, and I hope to do more with those two. Cullen Roche says, I'm from Kansas and I'm an accountant with posters of Christopher Hitchens on my apartment's walls. That is awesome. Please send a photo. If you send a photo of that to info@pang-burn.com, we will definitely post that and we can tag you. Cool. Well, I'm glad we got some people showing up to this. It's a really nice day here in Vancouver area. So I don't know how many locals we're going to get tuning in, but it's all good. It's all good. What we are going to start the show off tonight with is playing the first video that I was featured in for this channel that I ever uploaded, and I watched it earlier, and fuck, it's funny. But we'll start with that today, and it's literally like 39 seconds. It's just the channel's the brand has come a long way since then. What are you all having to drink right now? Is it water? Is it juice? Is it children's tears? For all of you atheists out there, is it just blended baby? Yeah, one thing you will see in that new compilation that we did, you will see a clip of when I actually had a sit-down meeting with a group of Nazis. And it's a group that is here in Vancouver. They're an actual Nazi group. And the main leader guy, he prays to Hitler and calls him his angel and stuff. It's fucked. But I am very interested in the psychology, the stuff that's going on in the mind of people who fall into conspiratorial thinking, and then it graduates to not only conspiratorial thinking, but conspiratorial thinking that leads to the justification of harm of others. I find that fascinating. And I think it's worth studying and worth collecting that kind of content and having those kinds of discussions. Cool. Well, it looks like the internet speed is great. Although, usually when I say that, the signal drops, and I don't know why. I don't. Oh, I'm going to share a couple more, with a couple more pages on Facebook. I am okay. That's cool. And let's go with, I'm just posting to all of my pages, guys, and all the things that are connected to Pangburn. Stay on this page. Okay. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to get out of Facebook, I think. Unless it's going to allow me to turn on Facebook live stream, because in that case, but I think we're banned from it for another 30 some days. And again, it was for sharing memes that they deemed inappropriate, whatever. Each platform's going to have its rules, and sometimes you're going to break them. Sometimes you're going to get slapped on the wrist. But at least I didn't get thrown in jail for it. Okay. Done with Facebook. I think Twitter's good. Wow, does it really zoom in on my face on Twitter Live through, what's its nuts? Periscope. Burped. There's a good burp for you guys. Let's see what happened on Instagram. On Pimpstagram, as my buddy Kevin, the comedian, calls it. Okay, cool. Deadly. Tyler Girano says, "Oh wow, the fact that you engaged with them, meaning the Nazis, tells me something very good about you, though. I'm impressed." Yeah, of course, I'll have conversations with anyone. The way to eradicate bad ideas is not to push them into the closet, like we do with things like pedophilia and like. We want the bad ideas out in the open on the stage so that we can discuss them, have an opportunity to reason with, and have intellectual discourse with the people that are harnessing bad ideas. And how do we know what ideas are bad and what are good? We have conversations about them when we apply logic, skepticism, reason, and obviously we have to start with some kind of moral foundation. And generally, the way everyone's moral compass works is that they essentially start from a place of everyone should get to be well. That starting from a foundation of well-being. That's how my worldview is. I can make strong arguments as to how even people who claim that they get their morality from religious teachings and doctrines, I can usually demonstrate that you're actually using your cognitive abilities to evaluate what's coming from that book, and then you're saying, okay, and it's from the book. So, there's a lot of there's billions of calculations that happen per second, and they don't just shut down when you start being told that this is moral from this book. You're definitely evaluating it. Sermit, I guess it's Sermit, but I want to say Kermit, says, "I like how Matt Dillahunty talks." Yeah, Matt's got a good way of talking about him. Definitely. We got 25 in the room, guys. Hit the like button on this stream so that more people will see this stream and they'll come and hang out. Smash that like button. Dinesh was nice enough to retweet me today to his audience of, what is Dinesh up to now? Dinesh has a fucking killer. Oh, he's 1.4 million on Twitter. Yeah, he's got a solid audience. Oh, it looks like he was he live streamed with Crowder. Maybe I'll get Dinesh on the channel. Him and I can have a live discussion, and everyone can kind of chip into that. But he retweeted this watch party, which is awesome. Critical says, "May I illustrate some of your videos in Arabic language in my channel?" Can you send your channel and what you propose to info@pang-burn.com just so we can keep track of it? Because we usually like to have some kind of paper trail outside of just the chat here. Awesome blossom. We'll give it one more minute and then we'll get started. Actually, you know what? I think we'll put on. Okay, guys. Thank you all for showing up today, by the way. For anyone that hasn't been here before, our watch parties are all about reviewing debates that I've produced. And we go through them slowly, however many sections it takes us. This show usually lasts about 2 hours. Sometimes we've gone longer, sometimes a little bit shorter, but usually around 2 hours. And we're essentially just watching the debates and analyzing them as we go through. And in the chat, if anyone has a question for me specifically while we're going through this, @pangburnme, just so, because it gives it that little orange label, it helps me not to miss your question. Or if you just want to engage in the conversation and add some comments about what's being talked about, or engage in your own conversations in the chat, that's all fine. There's really no rules here. All ideas are available to be presented here, and because that's what the War of Ideas is all about. So, and the reason I like doing these is to show people good examples of how we should be having conversations. Like if you're watching a debate or you're watching something at home with your family, I think we give a pretty good example here of how conversations should go. They should be in good faith. They should be evidence and skeptic based. Just so you don't have people just throwing around, and they should adhere to logical reasoning. So logic-based conversation. So learning about logical fallacies, learning how to identify them, you'll start realizing that most people speak logically fallacious all the time. That's kind of the general norm for humanity. So that's what we're trying to do here, and also it's a lot of fun to go through these with you guys. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to watch, and it's just like 30-second video. We're going to watch the first video I was in on this channel, and I believe it's from April 6th, 2017. So let's see this golden video. This from the historical archives.
Hi there, Travis here from Pangburn Philosophy. Do you believe in something and claim that it is outside the realm of scientific understanding? If so, we want to hear from you. Please submit your video to admin@pangburnphilosophy.com and we will respond with a video of our own. In going through these exercises, we expect that science will have an explanation for the claims that are being made. We will get to as many video submissions as we can, and we hope in the end that this process will lead to more skeptical thinking in the world. Thank you.
And that's generally still the same goal of what I do. But yeah, as you can tell, the production value's gone up a bit. I don't know if I look older now or not. I'm probably slightly more deranged. I think we all get a little more deranged as we get older. But let's get on with this. All right, part 3 of our watch parties. Here we go. I might have to adjust the volume a little bit.
It's about what the probability is, and also considering the likelihood of when technologies get so advanced, are they more likely to destroy themselves or die from not paying attention to climate change or whatever. Sorry.
Well, no,
But hang on. But when we do that, I strive to be as careful as I can with what I say, to not overreach, to not pretend that, I pretend to read minds on stage, but not to pretend I can read minds in this stuff. And also say, I should have a discrete position that is clear, based on the evidence, and if that current position is, the evidence does not warrant a position, so there may be plenty of good evidence to suggest that life probably in some form occurs throughout the galaxy. We have found the building blocks of life out in space from exploration. So it would seem likely that possibly there is life, whether it's intelligent life, what's possible.
It's not only possible, it's actually plausible. I think that's a better term to use when we're talking about life, other life in the cosmos. Plausible.
Who knows outside there? That's one thing. But to say, I believe there is intelligent extraterrestrial life, just based on the likelihood that we're not necessarily alone, it doesn't rise to that level.
Now, intelligent terrestrial life, it depends on what level of intelligence we're talking about, but that obviously becomes less plausible, right? Oh yeah, and for those of you who don't know, when Matt's talking about reading minds on stage, he is also a magician as well. Bal Diablo says, welcome Bal, welcome back, says, LOL, I love his magician jacket. I've seen Matt's collection. He's got a lot of pretty sweet magician jackets, to be honest.
About being consistent with the data.
I'll try to illuminate the point by pivoting into politics, because I think that sometimes when we talk about God and religion, we establish sort of special distinctions and categories that are not normal in everyday life. So I'm going to throw out a bunch of beliefs.
Okay.
I believe it's likely that Trump will be reelected.
I do too.
I believe that if Bernie were elected, the day after, the stock market would take a severe hit.
A more severe hit than it has in the last couple of days?
Probably. Because Bernie would be a walking virus for 4 years.
I don't believe that, but that doesn't mean that I'm convinced you're wrong.
Correct. So what I'm getting at here is, now again, I'm making these statements of I believe that if Trump is reelected, the market will do well over 4 years. But when I say these things, I'm stating beliefs anchored in my knowledge of politics. There's no empirical fact that I'm leaving out. And it would mean no objection to these beliefs for you to say to me somehow, Dinesh, my position on this is actually rather Jesuitical. I draw a distinction between warranted belief and beliefs that are ultimately don't have sufficient warrant. I would say we're talking about the future, Matt. None of us knows, I grant that. in that sense, it resembles life after death. We're plugging in all the data we have, and we're making a judgment about something that affects our life, just like life after death does. We have to act upon it because we have investments and portfolios. We have to cast our own vote. So we're going to make decisions about the future based on what we think is going to happen. My belief is in no way irrational because I cannot have either certitude about it or I don't have the kind of empirical evidence that would enable me, in some senses, to declare the belief warranted.
No,
it is warranted.
So, first of all, here we go again. I don't disagree. The thing is that you have beliefs about what's likely to happen in the economic and political realm, and you base it on actual data. I have no objection to that at all. But this, I think, gets to the heart of where and how you and I are dramatically different. Not just in epistemology and what may or may not warrant believing in something without evidence, because I can't imagine both acknowledging, I have no evidence, but I believe it anyway. That's not the same thing as what we're talking about now. You have a lot of evidence. You have market research. You have other information. You know what's likely to happen. You know where the majority of people are, what they're looking forward to. Here's the marked difference between the two of us. At every instance tonight, when we got to something that was potentially political or that was about policy, you went to money. Where are they spending their money? Are they building this on the coast? What are the markets going to do? What is this going to do? I don't give a rat's ass about money. I give a rat's ass about human beings. And as a humanist, I'm looking at how the world can be better with policies that lift people up. And I'm not talking about, I have no problem with Bernie. I voted for him before. I'm not a Bernie or buster. I'm not a Bernie bro. Matter of fact, they annoy the crap out of me. And yet I will be supporting probably almost certainly whoever the Democratic nominee is for a number of reasons. But I think the big one is I have a focus that is on human beings and doing whatever we can to lift people up and not to make rich people richer or to make markets just better so that we can say we made markets better. Because if the market goes nuclear and just it's not like we're not already the wealthiest country as it is, but if we all got, if we all got wealthier, if the United States market just went through the roof, I don't think we've lifted all boats. I think the gap in income, the gap in wealth, the gap in value of human beings is widening, and I don't think focusing on the market is the fix for that.
Okay. First of all, in the 2 or 3 times that I've cited markets, my purpose in citing them was as mechanisms of information. In other words, a market is a sign of how seriously people with money who have to put their money on the line take a piece of data, right? So.
Right, and that goes back to when Dinesh made his point of, people who are huge, outspoken proponents of climate change action are buying these coastal properties that Dinesh thinks they shouldn't be if they actually believed that. They shouldn't be buying these coastal properties. So that's what he was referring to there when he's talking about markets. We got a couple comments here. Remember to hit the like button, guys. I really appreciate it if you do. It really helps the channel out, really helps the stream out. Skip Bellin says, given enough time, I think that evolution leads inevitably toward higher intelligence. Given enough time, I think that evolution leads inevitably toward higher intelligence. You mean for human beings? It seems like that would be the case for human beings, but not necessarily like other species, that intelligence isn't their niche, right? I think if intelligence becomes the evolutionary goal, then sure. But survival typically is, and it's hard to make intelligence a centered goal from an evolutionary standpoint. you might more be talking about knowledge. Tyler Girano says, it's difficult to say life elsewhere is plausible if plausible means that the prior or conditional probability is over 0.5 on a scale between 0 and 1. I think it hovers at a PR 0.5. It's hard to. I mean, the Drake equation tells us that there's it's 99.99999% certain that there is some form of life, or has been some other form of life outside of Earth on some distant place somewhere. So that's where the highly plausible answer is justified, I think, if you study the Drake equation. Bal Diablo says, non-religious shrine, oxymoron. Nice. Tyler Janot says, saying you don't care about the economy, you care only about people, seems analogous to saying that you don't care about healthcare, you care about people. Yeah, so that's a fair criticism of Matt there, and I think that was a small moment where you see Matt's emotionality take over his logic part of his brain, and a little bit of his skepticism to say something emotional, something subjective. And yes, you're right. It's the economy is essentially driving all aspects of human well-being in a sense. So yeah, really important. John Desiderio says Dinesh is a warped person. Why so, John? Let's have you qualify that position. Bal Diablo says not the case for jellyfish. I don't know what you're talking about. Juka70, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Says, wish I could have gotten here earlier. It's all right, you made it. Gugandeep Singh Rayat says, greetings from India. Welcome. How are things over in India? Let us know. Let's watch some more.
I'm not using the market as the market is always right. I'm simply using the market as if people really thought this was going to happen, they would start moving their cash. And that's just a fact about people.
Sure, right? I have agreed. Okay. If somebody really thought...
If they really thought this was going to happen, it doesn't mean that they're going to start moving their cash. It means that they may not know the actual time frame. So they say, well, okay, if we're going to be fine regardless of what human beings do in the next 50 to 60 years, that's probably as long as this house is going to be here anyway, or at least my family's going to be there. So there is a selfish survival mechanism at play here for people on how they spend their money, because buying the beachfront property is highly pleasurable pursuit for many. Your kids want to be there. Your kids want to have their water sports, boats, and things like that. You like looking out in the water. It's like all of these things are actual considerations. It's not just the doom and gloom. Oh God, in this amount of time, the sea level's gonna have risen by this much, and I'd be more worried about the heat, like if you were buying something in India or something, because it's getting hot.
This is what the market was going to do. That's where they'd move the cash.
Exactly.
But what they think about the truth has no bearing on what the truth is. Just like the number of people who believe something, how strongly they believe it, whether they're going to... That's not a thing.
Now, you threw this contrast up between... You mentioned the issue of inequality.
Yeah.
And you said you don't care about markets, you care about people.
I was being hyperbolic.
But let's zoom in.
So yeah, Matt then corrects what we were just talking about and says he was being hyperbolic, and yeah.
To that a little bit.
It's not like you throw it out.
Of course, but what I was going to say is this: the reason, and I agree, by the way, we have more inequality now than we had, for example, in the 1970s. Mm-hmm. And it is true also that CEOs and entrepreneurs.
Skip Bellin says, I'm talking about on other planets. The very top intelligence will always dwarf most others and continue to evolve in their understanding of physics and the laws of the universe. Yeah, you would think that there's always more to discover, right? But you always have to understand, because as we regress back to the first uncaused causer, being what I just call the state of potential, which is likely just some blanket absent state where quantum fluctuations are possible, then if you get to that point and you discover all that stuff, there is going to be a point where there seems to be a level where you can understand everything if you are able to collect the knowledge. So it very may well be possible to stop evolving in the intelligence realm. Tyler Journo says, Skip, Neil deGrasse Tyson once made the brilliant point that higher intelligence is a evolutionary rarity as far as we can tell, and that the probability of it arising independently of us is not particularly high, at least if our sample size is typical rather than atypical. Yeah, you just have to look at examples of the vast amounts of time that dinosaurs roamed this planet, hundreds of millions of years, without an intelligence niche developing, really, at least at any super speed. It was just like huge lizards with some intelligence. Some of them had some decent level of intelligence, but yeah, really, it just wasn't. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't the niche evolutionary goal for what was going on with some of these species. And yeah, I agree with Neil that it seems like some pretty interesting challenges have to face a species to need to develop using tools and things like this, as opposed to just, oh, okay, you hunt your food source, have a drink, sleep, mate, and the areas you find to do that in, especially on planet Earth, seem to be pretty vast, and that all can happen without too much intelligence needed. Colin Roche says, the first time I watched the debate, I thought Matt was wearing that weird jacket because he was a transgender. Shows what I know about Matt. Sorry, I gotta read this comment in a different accent. The first time I watched this debate, I thought Matt was wearing that weird jacket because he was a transgender. Shows what I know about Matt. I had to. We'll clip that. Cool. Let's keep watching. Oh, by the way, I think we're up to, we're at like 180,000 views on this video already, which is awesome. It was released on March 10th. Cool.
Entrepreneurs today make a lot more money as a multiple, let's say, of the average worker than they did in the 70s. The reason for that, I think, is because CEOs in the 70s didn't do a whole lot. If you were a CEO of Hewlett-Packard, or a Ford Motor Company, by and large, your job is organizational. You're an administrator. You say, I'll open a new plant over here, I'll do this over there. The entrepreneurs who have made gargantuan amounts of cash, I would mention, the obvious ones, even Bloomberg, but certainly Jeff Bezos, certainly Steve Jobs. The reason that they got so rich is precisely because they have augmented human welfare to such a gargantuan degree. Everybody who people didn't even, normally we think of markets as supply response to demand.
Hey guys, there's 40 in the room now. If all of you could please hit the like button on this stream, I would really appreciate it. Just take a moment, hit the like button. It's going to do a lot for more people to see this and help the channel out a lot. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Really appreciate it. And I did share this earlier, but we have a brand new video out. It's a best of me compilation. So please, it's the first of these. Please go over and like it. I just gave you guys the link there. Please like this vid. You guys rock.
But as far as I know, there's not one person in the world who wrote Steve Jobs and goes, you know what, take an ordinary phone, figure out how it can take photos. Let's figure out how it can do email, texting, put all these features, and then get rid of the stylus, use your finger. Here's what I'm getting at. Apple built the phone before we knew we couldn't live without it.
Sure.
And everybody who put
I
money...
can, though, because I'm on Android.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But what I'm getting at is everybody who made these people like Bezos and Jobs so rich did it happily by waiting in long lines in the Apple store because of great boosts in human welfare that they were able to create. So I would argue we're living in an entrepreneurial boom. Now, the last time this happened is in the era that progressives call the Gilded Age, but the Gilded Age is also the age of the telegraph, the car, the airplane. So that was actually the biggest communication revolution of all time. We're living through the second biggest one. And all I'm getting at is these are huge amounts of human welfare that have been created by entrepreneurs for which they're being rewarded voluntarily by people who are happy to pay $300 to get a phone. So where does the social injustice come from?
Oh, okay.
Who is Steve Jobs ripped off?
How many phones does Steve actually manufacture?
A lot.
0. Steve Jobs never manufactured a phone in his life.
Well, Apple
Yes.
contracts, so what?
I'm in agreement with you. Entrepreneurs, by all means.
What do you think Matt's point was there for bringing that up? Do you think it's a salient point to bring up at that moment, or is it weak? Let me know in the chat, guys.
I mean, how many cars did Henry Ford himself personally make?
Yep.
I agree.
The thing
it was
is,
done by the assembly line.
If we're gonna determine how much, the invention itself is important, and there are certainly entrepreneurs who are as self-made as possible. However, that's not the sum total of wealth, and it doesn't mean that if I invent something and then have 25,000 employees, some of which I don't give a particularly good living wage to, manufacture those phones so that I can make as much money as possible off of my invention, that I'm actually doing something that is in the best benefit of society or that is boosting society.
And you get to decide that. You, a magician,
Sure I do.
sitting here, decide, here's a voluntary transaction. Well, let's elaborate the example so we can see capitalism in its pure form. Let's just say everyone in this audience has $10. So we live in a socialist utopia. We all have $10, okay? And then you stand up and do a magic trick, and you say, I'll do this magic trick if some of you would agree to pay me $1. Okay? And let's just say that 25 people in the audience said, we'll give you $1. So everybody else clears the room, you do the magic trick, they give you $1. Our perfect equality is now interrupted by inequality. Right?
Wait, what's the inequality? Because in that example,
hold on. So
I manufactured 100%
yes, you did.
the magic myself.
Correct. But here's the point. The point is that, well, you might have an assistant and you bought equipment.
Yeah, you bought equipment and also the training. It's like you may have manufactured that yourself or you may have learned it from someone else, right? It's true that someone can create their own works. But that depends if you actually did.
You might have bought that at cheap prices and so on. We'll leave all that aside.
Tyler Giorno says, I think he had a point. I think if he had a point at all, his point is just that capitalist doesn't deserve the profits of innovation. Yeah, that's not a very good point. Fish Jungle 9 says, like if they didn't deserve the profits of innovation, who does, right? And especially, and I think Dinesh makes a strong point here. It's like the amount of well-being derived from some of these inventions, people just throw their money at them because they do so much for people's lives. Where else would that money go? We want to see our billionaires spending their money wisely if they amass a large amount of wealth and to pay their fair share in taxes, of course. But do you not think most billionaires do that? Like, can you think of examples like just look at what Bill Gates does with his fortunes and what he's done for the planet with his money. Most billionaires, and that's just one example, there's tons of examples, but most billionaires are doing incredible things with their money that a lot of people don't hear about. And people should look into that just as much as they're looking into, oh my God, this guy pocketed $15 billion last year. It's like, that's not right. It's like, well, what has he been doing with his money? that came from something he invented and then built a business and manufactured some things. That's important to consider as well. And then Fish Jungle 9 says weak because Jobs buys the products which give people the ability to make phones, right? And he pays for them to make them for him, right? Juka70 says, I think that he is basically saying that the lower down the chain, the worse you do, and basically that's who does the actual work. Yeah, and that's a weak argument. Like, the actual work, where are you going to draw that line? It's like creating. Someone has to create these ideas, and these ideas, like how many hours, how much work these CEOs put into their product or the inventors put into their product is really important. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's like this shit has to be thought up and storyboarded and reworked and worked over again until you get to a product where everyone wants it, right? And obviously that chain is an important thing to help societies prosper. You want to have some kind of ladder for human beings to climb. It creates pleasurable pursuits that in turn improve the country as a whole. It's an important thing to have some capitalist element to your country, I think. Thank you, Sapien says, agree. At Penguin, I agree. These damn politicians don't deserve to steal our money. Who's stealing your money, though? What do you mean by stealing your money? Cullen Roche says, as an accountant, rich people typically pay a ton of taxes and give a ton to charity. Yeah. Skip Bellin says, just like Ben Shapiro goes from brilliant to dumb when he defends religion. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of the war of ideas, and why I've always been so attracted to it, is because you get people like Ben Shapiro who very smart on almost every topic, and then he stumbles into, we start seeing his dogmatic belief systems, belief structures with regards to religion, and then we find out he likes infant genital cutting. And then we're like, what? But that's what the war of ideas is all about. Sorting out good ideas from bad ideas.
Main point is that the guy who gave you the $1 thought your magic trick must be worth at least $1.
Yes, but I'm not complaining about the person who willingly gives Apple money for their phone.
Okay,
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not ragging on Apple or the iPhone or any of that.
Right.
I'm saying, yes, there are entrepreneurs, and yes, there are people who justifiably go from nothing to immense wealth. I'm not objecting to wealth. I'm not advocating for an absolute equality where everybody gets $10 and that's all you're ever going to get.
No, but you're stepping aside. Let's take Walmart. The ordinary guy who works in Walmart at the cash register makes $25,000 a year. That's the average pay at Walmart for a cash register guy. The managers at Walmart make about $200,000. Mm-hmm. Now the family that owns Walmart makes a killing, as you know. Here's my question: who are you? These are people who voluntarily show up for work. They could go work at Target. They choose to work at Walmart. They could be at the cashier at Vaughn's or at Kroger's. They want to be at Walmart. They take the best job they have. There's an agreement between them and Walmart about how much to be paid. They should be paid for. All I'm saying is, where do you get to waltz in and say things like baseball players make too much? And
I didn't say that.
Okay. Or that Apple should be paying more money to its managers because Steve Jobs made more than they did.
It's not because Steve Jobs made more than they. Basically, you're saying, where do I get off coming in when these people voluntarily work?
Right.
And so that if we can get them to work for $1.50 an hour, so that they have to work 5 jobs and
But pause here. Let's check the language. What do you mean by get them?
I just let you talk on and on about it.
Okay, go ahead.
You're suggesting that who am I to say that it's a bad move for us to pay some people so little to pay a cash register worker $25,000 a year? I can tell you who I am to say that. I am someone who may end up in that position, but I'm also someone who may have family members in that position, who may have friends in that position. I'm also somebody who lives and works in a society that benefits from them, and I benefit from them staying healthy and productive in society. It's not to pretend that the massive wealth disparity is all down to somebody had a really good idea and other people agreed to work for a pittance, and that's just fine. It may be true that some people had a good idea and some people work for a pittance, but that doesn't mean it's just fine. It doesn't mean it leads to a better society. It doesn't mean that people can afford health care. And if they can't afford health care, then guess what? They're potentially getting me sick. If they can't, this is why the government steps in to suggest that you need to vaccinate your kids, because vaccines don't freaking cause autism. They protect and save lives. I know you didn't say that.
Yeah.
This is something I would trumpet. And there are people out there who can't have vaccines, who depend on herd immunity. And similarly, they need the person who's checking them out, handling their money, giving them back their change, that when they cough in their hand and hand it back to them, that they at least have the same opportunities that healthcare should.
So Matt's making a good point about if you had immoral pieces of shit at the top of, some kind of corporate ladder or some invention like Walmart, and when you get to the bottom of the company, you have people working for $1 because they can't find a job elsewhere, and no one has regulated, a minimum wage of what someone should make. That's an argument about if a country's okay with a human being making minimum wage, don't blame the organization by following the country's rules. Don't do that. Start arguing and legislating for a higher minimum wage, because with every country in a capitalist, every company in a capitalist country, they have to have a bottom somewhere. So what's going to be the bottom entry level? That's dictated by the government, and at least the bottom level. I saw one comment I missed. Skip Bellin says, Matt is brilliant, but somehow gets dumb defending the left's principles. What specific principles does he defend that you think, or that you say when Matt gets dumb? Cullen Roche says, I really don't think Matt understands economics. He's making far too many appeals to the emotions of the audience rather than to logic. Yeah, I agree here, and it's not. I think Matt is making some appeal to emotions and playing to the crowd, not just the live crowd, but the viewers that he knows are going to be watching this. There's a lot of virtue to be received by positions Matt is trumpeting here, and he said he was trumpeting. But I think Matt understands the importance of economics. I think that's too much of a blanket statement here. But basically what Matt is playing the other side of, we can't forget about the well-being of people. We can't engage in blind capitalism. Capitalism's great. It's a great way. It's a great economic system to help people want to climb ladders and to make for a better country. It's been proven to be great. But what people always get up in arms about, and they get confused. They call it capitalism. They're not angry at capitalism. They're actually angry at blind capitalism when they see examples, anecdotes of blind capitalism, meaning that you do find some piece of shit company where they're paying, illegal Mexicans $5 an hour or $2 an hour to pick all their fruit, and they're making just a killing, and like they're not making an effort to hire Americans or anything like that, or people with American status. And they're not making an effort to create other jobs. They're just kind of squandering money. And you will find anecdotal situations like that are really going to piss you off and say, I hate capitalism. But really what you should be saying is, I hate blind capitalism. Some people call it, we should be striving for human-centered capitalism. It's the same thing, but I like the blind term. We got 33 in the room. Thank you so much for showing up, guys. Make sure you hit that like button on the stream. I really appreciate it. It helps for more people to see this stream. Let's see. Tyler Giorno says, income inequality is not poverty, and that is correct. Correct claim. It may be that only with more income inequality will you get less poverty. True. Sound statements. Andrew T, welcome. Andrew T is back. Andrew T says, we need go-go capitalism to afford a generous welfare state, and people won't support go-go capitalism without a safety net. Both sides forget this lesson. Yeah, it is this thing of where you need to be a fucking centrist. Who would have thought it? You need to be a centrist on every issue. Come at every new argument, every new claim from a centrist position. I don't give a fuck the thing you need to swear to your left side or your right side. Come at it all from a centrist position. Take the best ideas from each side. That's because if you don't, you're engaging potentially in blind capitalism. Juka70 says the problem with a higher minimum wage is that then the smaller businesses can't pay it. I think Matt is trying to say that bigger companies are getting rich on the ones not paid enough. Right. So, but again, who determines what is enough? The government. The federal government should determine what is enough for their people. What companies should be allowed to pay. The lowest denominator. Because if you're in a capitalist society, they're going to have a bottom position to start at to climb that ladder. So the bottom position, the starting position, has to be determined by another body, the governing body. Thinking Sapien says, at Pangburn, what the fuck does Matt know about vaccine causing autism? What Matt said is demonstrably true. Vaccines do not cause autism. That's just demonstrably true. If and you can make that claim with 99.99999% certainty, as certain as you can make a claim, a scientific claim. And if you're going to claim that a vaccine causes autism, you have to demonstrate it, and that has not been demonstrated. Skip Bellin says, with response to what, where he thinks Matt gets dumb on what topics, and he said left topics, specifically the ideals of identity politics and equal results. Can you be more specific though, Skip? Like, because those are too big. Like, maybe something Matt has said about either of those topics, just so we can dissect it. Juka70 says, thinking Sapien, there are a bunch of people won't vaccinate their kids saying it causes autism, and he's saying it's ridiculous, and there's no scientific evidence of it happening. Yes, of course. Andrew T says, we need markets to make us richer, but we also need them to make all of us richer. And sure, and that's not just about making sure that we're identified against the risks of wrecking ball type competition. Yes, of course. So again, this is where governing, this is how you govern. You got to take these things into consideration from a centrist position. Bal Diablo says they're angry that they don't know why they're angry, and they're angry because they don't own any property. Bal Diablo says, okay, this is a real thing. Bal Diablo says, well, part of it says 86,000 subs, 40 watching now. YouTube must think you're on the right. So it's a tough thing. I've been in communication back with YouTube, and I'm like, how can we get more people out to the live stream? Because I've been doing everything I can to like make the I guess the keywords, how people can find the live stream, more appealing, to more clickbaity and stuff, and it doesn't work. So they've been looking into the channel and trying to figure it out, but it seems like every time we go live, and there's a weird thing too on this channel, that automatically every time I post a video, it becomes demonetized, and then, which it's not supposed to, and then I have to request a manual review, which takes time on the video. So there's some fucked up things with what's going on with YouTube with this channel, and I think it has to do with, I guess, we're determined as a more risky type content creator, but I don't really understand why. Blast Prophet says, I think rules of capitalism need to be redefined then. Can't call it blind capitalism, perhaps national or ethical capitalism. Yeah, I mean, you could call it moral capitalism, whatever you want, but it's just always taking into consideration the well-being of all humanity. You just apply what I believe to be the best moral code, maximizing well-being for everyone. That's how if everyone adopted that moral outlook, everything would be fine. It really would. Andrew T says Matt is just explaining the scientific consensus on vaccines. Blast Prophet says religion causes autism. widely demonstrable. Oh, that's good. Skip Bellin says, I'll point it out when I hear an example. Yeah, cool. Whenever anyone makes a claim about, like, Jordan Peterson sucks, or Jordan, put in what Jordan Peterson said that you disagree with, then we can have a conversation about that. Thinking Sapien says that Pangburn, whatever someone wants to spend their money on is their own business, not the politicians. So whatever someone wants to spend their money on is their own business, not the politicians. Sure. Yeah, you have freedom to spend your money the way you want as long as it's not breaking laws. Whatever they spend it on is as beneficial to some as their gift was to the world. I don't get that last part. Colin Roche says, Pangburn, it's called playing the algorithm. Bal Diablo says that Pangburn, YouTube is demonstrably evil. Tongue out. YouTube is demonstrably evil. Andrew T says, at Thinking Sapien, parental skills tell you when to not let your child go into a creepy van. They don't give you a medical degree. Yeah. Thinking Sapien says, we don't know what the fuck are in every vaccine given. Yes, we do. Every vaccine has every bit. We know everything. Before it's administered to anyone, we know everything that's in it. There are drugs or viruses that can cause birth defects, autism, death. There are drugs or viruses that can cause birth defects, autism, death. Drugs or viruses that can cause autism, such as? What is in every vaccine given? We don't know. We actually do know. Are you trying to demonstrate that? Are you trying to say we don't know if vaccines can cause autism or not? Because we know that to an extremely high level of scientific certainty. Okay, let's watch some more.
Be a basic human right, and if it's not, then we definitely have to pay people more. The number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States.
The issue of healthcare is worth focusing on for a moment, because to me, the problem of healthcare is really simple.
This is where we talk about Trump.
I didn't say the solution.
People start laughing at him. But let's hear what Dinesh has to say here. Let's see if we agree or not.
I didn't say the solution.
Yeah, no.
I said
fine.
Keith Connolly back in the room. What up, brother? Kelly Howlett, welcome, says, Jordan Peterson sucks because he says that women without children regret not having children and feel less than a woman. If he said that, so he's probably making a general statement. Jordan Peterson sucks because he says that women without children regret not having children and feel less than a woman. Some might, but to make that blanket statement and say definitively all women, I don't think Jordan would say that. But if he did say that, he was wrong, of course, because there's obviously going to be women that have different takes on that, of course, different experiences.
The problem of healthcare can be summarized in this way. The guy who receives the service is not only not paying for it, but he has no idea what it costs. It never occurs to him or her to ask what it costs. And this crucial fact is known by every provider of healthcare who recognizes that a third man, not present here, is paying for it. And it's going to be very easy to screw that guy because he's not here. And so we will be sending him a bill, which could be as gargantuan as we like, because the guy getting the service is never going to show the slightest interest in the social cost being borne by that third guy. Let's call him the taxpayer. So it's a rip-off scheme, engineered ultimately, and everything would work like healthcare if we allowed it to. You said healthcare is a right. Well, I would say eating is a right. I have a right to eat. I shouldn't starve. I live in a prosperous country. So let's say I were to tell you, all right, you have a right to food. When you go to Vaughn's to fill your cart, just take what you think you need. And go to the counter, and then they'll just check you out. And so you look at the milk, and milk was, normally it's $2.50, and you buy 2 cartons. You say, I'll buy 10, because I'm not paying. So you fill up your cart. You show up at the counter. Now, here's the important point. Your behavior is completely understandable. You're taking as much as you can. The guy behind the counter, by which I mean the management, they realize that the guy in the line is not paying. So they realize milk doesn't have to cost $2.50. It could cost $25. Why? Because that guy's not going to ask, and he's not going to care. And so, as long as we get to shaft some third guy who's going to be paying for it, we're going to jack up the prices. And what I'm trying to say is that that's in all the areas where we want entitlements, that's the scam that we've been subjected to. Colleges. Why do you think my daughter went to Dartmouth? Cost me $63.
Because you did.
Because I did. Yes.
If you ask the easy questions, I got to take them because I know I'm going to get them right.
Yes, that's an easy one. But why does college, in an age where technology should make educational delivery services easier, in an age where colleges already have gigantic endowments, why these high bills? And the answer is really simple. The guy who's walking in the door is not paying. The college knows he's got a $10,000 Pell Grant, he's got all these loans, people willing to put him. So what we do is, even though inflation is 0% or 1%, we're going to increase our fees 20% every year for the past 30 years. Why? Because we are conspiring with the student and his family to screw the third man who's not here. So what I'm trying to get at is that...
Hang on. Hang on.
You are, exactly. And so either you...
Someone just was so inspired by what Dinesh said. I'm the third man. I pay for everyone. That kills me. And I just glanced over and I saw how disheveled my hair is. I need a fucking haircut, people. Let's go back to the chat. If you just got here, please hit the like button on this stream. Are we still talking about vaccines here? Let's see. Andrew T says Jordan Peterson sucks. Screw you, man. No. Tell us why. Tell us why, Andrew. I'm sure you've told us before. Because he sounds like Kermit the Frog. Just a meanie, aren't you? Mank Deems, welcome back with the rainbow, the squirrel, and the beer. Love it. Val Diablo says, at Pangburn, I think it's better to avoid harm rather than strive for well-being, just based on the subjectivity of the term well-being. That would be fine and dandy if it wasn't the pleasure drive that was dictating everything, so we're always driving towards something. We're not in avoidance. We're not in an avoidance game. We are in a pleasure drive. We are driving. So what are we driving towards? Epitomes of well-being, epitomes of pleasure. So I don't think, well, at least on my understanding of what's going on neurologically, I don't think we are avoiding harm in what's going on in us. I think we are always driving towards X, pleasure potentials, changing the environment, which means adopting a moral code based in well-being. That means pursuing potential pleasures that make us well become pleasurable. If that makes any sense. We already got Kelly Howlett's comment. Andrew T says, at Thinking Sapien, actually we do know what is in vaccines, literally every ingredient. Yes, we do. Keith Connolly says, yo. Oh, my chat just jumped really far. Keith Connolly says, yo, what up? Just popped in, been out at sea at work for the past few weeks. Awesome. What did you catch? Andrew T says, there are no vaccines that cause autism. Correct. None that have been demonstrated. Tyler Journo says, capitalism works better than, say, socialism, but lazier, fair capitalism motivates finding innovative ways to exploit people. Does it promote that? I don't think it promotes that. It leaves that potential lane available. Most people who find themselves in positions of power operate their companies in a very moral way, and it's just such a good way to do it. I think this idea of like trying to squeeze every penny out of the lessers down the ladder, if you will, down your corporate ladder, I think that's a dying thing, and I think it's dying. It seems to be dying with religion. Interesting. Tyler Journo goes on to say, what works better, I think, is a restricted market capitalism, which is circumscribed in various ways by ethical government regulation. Yeah, there has to be some level of ethical government regulation. Ethical or moral, whatever you want to say. Juka70 says, Thinking Sapien, I am required to take 2 special education courses, including law. I can tell you this has been well researched, and again, there is no scientific evidence. Correct. This is about vaccines or stuff potentially causing autism. Juka70 says, trust me, if they found it, you would know. Kelly Howlett says, he did. Jordan did say that. And if Jordan did say that verbatim, he is wrong, of course. But, just because he's wrong on that doesn't mean he sucks all across the board, right? And again, that's why I don't use blanket terms like, oh, this guy sucks, this person sucks. I think someone was trying to call my phone. I got to turn it off. I like going from claim to claim with people, right? And then you start identifying some good ideas that Jordan might have. And you don't miss out on those, because you can still take in Jordan's good ideas and think that is a shitty idea that he has and go to war with it. Go to war with people who, that's what the war of ideas is all about. Entering that war and changing minds, making good, strong, rational arguments as to why people should change their mind on something. Christopher Hitchens used to say, make the ridiculous claim that women just aren't funny because they didn't have that evolutionary reason to be funny, which in a sense he was right, that it wasn't a prime thing that females had to use in their evolutionary history to land a man, like when human beings started evolving into Homo sapiens. It seems like once communication started, the ability for the male to make the female laugh was another attractive trait to them. So this obviously had more time to evolve. So sure, maybe you can make an argument that generally, I really have to block. Sorry, I gotta just turn off that generally, comedy or being funny in general comes more natural to males, and that's fine. You can make that claim and you could probably demonstrate it, but that doesn't mean that women making the blanket statement of women just aren't that funny. It's like, I know Christopher Hitchens has laughed his ass off at women, but of course he did say unless they're a bull dyke, I think he said, or like a dyke, or I think that's what the word he used. Andrew T says, Jordan did say that. I was shocked when he said that. He's absolutely wrong. Women with children aren't any happier than women without children, according to the psychological data we have on this. Yeah, so, it's just a bad claim. Again, if that's what Jordan said, it's a bad claim. He's wrong. Colin Roche says, I really like Dinesh's explanation of healthcare. But keep in mind, Andrew, you can still harvest the good ideas that come out of Jordan Peterson's brain, because he has an interesting brain, a very high IQ. He's an interesting thought pretzel thinker. You know this. You can still get good ideas out of Jordan Peterson if you disagree with him on some. Colin Roche says, I really like Dinesh's explanation of healthcare in this part. Heard it a ton of times before in other lectures. Yeah, I think there's some good analogies he's drawing to there, and how not having the third person in the room who's actually footing the bill, if you're the guy, creating the invoice for the person that's not even there on behalf of this person, because this is what it costs here. We set our own prices. It's like, oh, okay. You can tell where that can get taken advantage of. And it would be really, if you're running a private practice, there's big reasons to take advantage of that, right? Financial reasons. Thinking Sapien says, at Pangburn, mothers took some drug during pregnancy and their kids were born without arms and legs. Zika virus gave babies small heads. Yeah. I took steroids that weren't steroids. What I'm saying is we, at Pangburn, you and I have no way to know what is in the needle they stick in your arm. It could be some other drug. So that's you're falling into cynicism, Thinking Sapien. What you just said is a great example of cynicism, not skepticism. So it is possible that the next apple you take a bite out of could kill you because it was dipped in poison, right? So you better watch out for apples because of that possibility. See, this line of thinking is falling into cynicism, and also there's a lot of cynicism out there about this virus. Actually, people make blanket statements like, "We don't know what this virus can do, so best lock ourselves away." Like, it's like, okay, we don't know what it can do. It doesn't mean the best answer necessarily. I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about the specific guidelines that have been trumpeted out by the WHO and CDC and I'm glad we're following the guidelines. But I'm saying that just because of if there is an aspect of something we don't know, it doesn't mean that the potential ultimate conclusion should be taken seriously, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that. We have to look at plausibilities, not possibilities in these situations. That's why I love talking about plausibilities instead of possibilities, because essentially anything is possible, especially if we are living in the matrix, which we can't demonstrate that we're not, but no one's demonstrated that we are. But that's what happens when you start looking at possibilities as opposed to plausibilities. Mank Deem says, man, I've been enamored by Eric Weinstein these days. He seems to be a step above the rest of the IDW. At first I thought he was pretty eccentric, but now I get it. He is a very eccentric person, but very interesting person, interesting thinker, very unique mind. I suspect Eric is going to do some pretty big things in the ideological realm. Hasn't yet, but you just wait. I think he will. Kelly Howlett says, thalidomide was never approved in the U.S. I don't know what that's referring to. Andrew T says, Thinking Sapien, yes we do. You can literally request a package insert with the list of all ingredients. They are all backed by a mountain of peer-reviewed data. Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize we had a guy in the chat doing all this stupid stuff. I blocked him. Okay, cool. Let's watch a little bit more here, then I'll move down some more of the chat. Again, thank you guys so much for hitting that like button. Smash it. Smash the like button again. You know you want to. You know you want to.
You are aware of this and will be voting for Trump, or you're a happy sucker who wants to pay even more, because he is okay with this collective rip-off scheme.
Yeah.
But if the guy who got the services was paying our healthcare, let's think of it this way. Let's say the government were to say, all right, the people that you're worried about who go bankrupt, they do that because of catastrophic health situations, right? Catastrophic health situations are, I need a heart surgery, I need a new lung, and this is going to cost $100,000. I don't have $100,000. What I'm saying is we could insure the entire American population against catastrophic events, kind of like hurricanes and so on, except in this case disease, and allow people to pay, at least people who are not poor people on Medicaid, pay their routine health care bills.
Wait, are you okay with Medicaid?
I'm okay with Medicaid for the poor who can't afford it, yes.
Socialist?
No, it's not socialist.
No, I know. It's just
I'm a safety netist.
I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
There's a couple points I have to address.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is,
When Matt called him a socialist, I would have expected Dinesh to laugh at that, but that was a really funny reaction. No, not socialist. It was like Matt called him a cunt.
in an American healthcare system where we paid our routine healthcare bills and the government insured us against catastrophic illness, you would magically begin to see healthcare prices plummet. You go to the doctor, he goes, I'm going to run 7 tests. You're like, really, 7 tests? Just because I have a cold and a sore throat? What are the 7 tests? Why do I need 7 tests? Suddenly the guy next door would be offering 4 tests and half the price. And I'd walk across the street because I'm paying. If the government gave us a $10,000 healthcare voucher and said to you, listen, if you can spend it all on healthcare, but if you only spend $1,000, you can pocket the other 9. Notice the tremendous behavioral change that would sweep across this country. Suddenly people would demand to know what healthcare should cost. And it would change the system. So that's all I'm saying. You're fighting a caricature.
What do you guys think of that idea? That Dinesh, like I haven't heard about this voucher thing before Dinesh actually talked about it, because I'm not immersed in politics very much. I mean, I am from an ideological skepticism standpoint. But what do you guys think of that idea of down in the States? If you can adopt something like we have in Canada where everyone pays a small amount into a pool and everyone gets health care, a lot of economists say it won't work down in the States. But giving everyone their cash, their health care cash, whenever, and say this is how much you get to spend, and we'll see what happens. Then you have individuals making those deals and actually lowering prices and making your prices more affordable are going to attract people to come to your place of business as opposed to the other one driving prices down, right? Like the free market does. It's interesting. Keith Connolly says, I was out diving in the oil field. Oh, interesting. I caught some old decommissioned pipelines and platforms, as well as a sunken shrimp boat. Cool. Thinking Sapien says at Pangburn, what is in every needle? I want a sample saved from my shot so I can have it tested. Yeah, sorry, this Humphrey Bear guy came into the chat and just started being a fucking idiot. What a hero. Yeah, but again, you're delving into cynicism. Why wouldn't you trust what the scientific community has said about this vaccine that they're putting in you? And why are you trusting the food that you get when you go to the grocery store? Why are you trusting anything? You can't trust anyone. Oh my God, what is that person doing to my child? Oh, it was the babysitter. Oh, okay, that's fine, yeah. But how do we know the babysitter didn't molest my child? I wasn't there the whole time. It's like any mode of cynicism is going to lead you down a path that is not good ideologically. And it's just, your behavior is going to go down the tubes. So skepticism, yes. Cynicism, no. Andrew T says Travis will block him. Just give him a second. Yeah, I did. Thinking Sapien says that Pangburn, have you ever bought a counterfeit drug? How do you know that this isn't happening with vaccines? At the pharmaceutical level? Like, the vaccines aren't just taken from anyone and they don't know that it's the actual vaccine. This stuff is tested before it's put into people, right? And of course, here's one for you. Of course, someone could sneak in a poisonous bottle or a fake bottle of Jack Daniels on the liquor store counter, and you got the fake one. That's possible. That can happen. But we don't live like cynics. You can't live like a cynic. You're going to find yourself in a world of non-well-being, of unwell-being. Blast Prophet says, Jordan Peterson is like wasabi. A little is good, too much might cause a fit. Keith Connolly says, at Mank Deems, it's been crazy when Eric loses his temper. It comes out of the blue sometimes. I love his passion and how deep he peels back the layers and identifies patterns. Yeah, again, Eric's a really, really interesting thinker. Very socially weird, awkward dude, but I think he gives that up because of his level of intelligence. Yeah, actually, Andrew T., I would like to make you a chat moderator just so you can help with that. Just if we get anyone like this Humphrey Bear tool in the chat, we can take care of it quicker. Thinking Sapien says, Andrew T., fake vaccines is what I'm worried about. Yeah, honestly, your worry is coming from cynicism. And honestly, if you're engaging in skepticism when it comes to vaccines, you will gladly engage with vaccines and have your children vaccinated and all these good things. You do not want to have a child that is not vaccinated for something like measles. It literally goes after the child's brain. So don't fuck around with that stuff, please. Richard Wood says, a clean room is a happy room, Mom. My room's never clean. I'm just trying to... Okay. Jesse Peters says, I was kind of enjoying reading the conversation, then Humphrey Bear has to ruin it. Come on, man. Yeah, it's online. It's YouTube. We're going to get people like that sometimes. Guys, we got 37 still in the room. Please hit that like button. Let's get it up to 37 likes. You can do it. Thinky Sapien says, at Pangburn, it is cynicism. Thank you. You know what? Just you acknowledging that is important. After going through this stream of consciousness, identifying your cynicism, I have cynicism. I have cynicism towards trusting people enough to hire them for my business. And that stems from bad experiences with past contractors. And I have cynicism. I identify it. And when I find myself thinking cynically, I think, wow, what an irrational piece of shit I am, just as a joke. But we all catch ourselves in cynicism all the time. It's not just you. We all have modes of cynicism that we have to get through and reevaluate our positions and apply skepticism to them the best we can. And sometimes it takes a changing of environment, which means just me speaking right now and all of us engaging in this chat is changing your environment. It's changing all of our environments every moment. Make sure you guys are subscribed as well. Love to have you guys out for these. We have another... I wonder if I'm able to... There's another person being a douche. So here's what people who seek to silence... Man, fucking... I hate this. Okay, I'm going to add Andrew T as a moderator. Andrew T, you are now a moderator for the channel. Keith Connolly, if you wouldn't mind me adding you as a moderator, that would be great. We'll stick with those for now. And if you see anyone just doing all this stupid shit, just hide them. Also, you can report them as well. just going to report some of these. Sorry, guys, just doing a little policing here. Yeah, Keith Connolly, I'm going to add you as a moderator as well. There you go. Okay, awesome. See, okay, this is a good example of, like, these are the kind of shit people that attack all the time on all across social media, attack the Pangburn brand. These are people that don't like open conversations about difficult issues. They want to just have people out there who say, like, Jordan Peterson's a Nazi. Like, make blanket statements like that and leave it at that. These are the same kind of people, and people that don't respect intellectual discourse. Yeah. And we will report this person as well. I can go all night with you fuckers. There, you just got Pangburn. I hope they like get their IP address and then they can't go on YouTube anymore. That would be awesome. Max 24 says, "What happened to your company, Travis? It's up and running, doing better than ever." Just a bunch of idiots. And the funny thing about this is, like, they think that they're like being like really cool and edgy trolls, but they're like so obsessed with the channel that they're just hanging out here to do that. It's like, you are an idiot. But we live amongst idiots. Thanks, Andrew T. Thank you guys for helping out. Let's watch some more.
Whereas I'm saying there
We're
are
almost
better
through,
ways
guys.
to run these things and deliver the safety net we want. And I think Trump represents that. It's not obvious he does, but that's what he does.
I would agree. It's
Hey, Matt,
not,
we have time for your response here.
yeah,
but
I got to
we'll
respond
have to wrap
this.
up after that.
Yeah, because
And any of them that are putting the N word in the chat, just report them for report for hate speech or graphic violence. Yeah, let's go with that one. Bunch of losers.
so wow, I just lost like half my train of thought right there. As soon as we mentioned Trump, it just happens every time. Okay, so there are things about the system that I'm in complete agree with you. I'm not denying the facts. There are certain things about what you said where you're talking about the guy going in for services is not paying for it. The unfortunate fact is that there are guys who are going in who are paying for it directly because of problems with insurance and other things. It's not always just the insurance. Now, the prices, I agree with you on the economics of how this ends up happening and how they end up raising. The problem is that there are also guys who aren't paying for it because they can't afford it. They don't have insurance. They can't get it. And the example that you came up with of going into the grocery store and taking what you need, first of all, we could have a conversation about food, but I'm not going to go in for 3 root canals just because they're free. I'm not going to go in to have 15 gallbladders removed just because I'm not paying for it.
Let's pause right there.
So,
I agree with
no,
those examples, but they're
no.
misleading examples.
No,
They're not
your
typical.
example was monumentally misleading to suggest that it's somehow the problem that if we start giving people health care, that they're going to necessarily take advantage of it, even though we know human behavior will have people take advantage of it, not in the way of let me grab as much milk as I can. That was my problem with the example. There are ways to fix the system to lower the prices so that we're not, because, by the way, the insurance companies are not getting screwed.
I have to outline this exchange. Andrew T says, I have unlimited finger strength. Cullen Roach rightfully says, at Andrew T, that's what he said. And Andrew T LOLs at Cullen. Amazing.
They're making money. And so the guy who goes in who's not paying for it, it's not the insurance guy that's getting screwed, it's everybody else. And the other thing is, if the doctor tells me I need 7 tests, and this doctor tells me I need 4 tests, and I'm not a doctor, what if one of those 3 tests is what I actually need? This is the problem, because we have people who are, okay, yeah, there's people who are lazy thinkers, but generally, I don't have time to become an expert on everything.
No, you don't.
And so I have to rely on experts. And so if the doctor says I need 7 tests, going to the guy that's got 4 tests doesn't mean I've done.
Is there anyone dying is there anyone dying to call in today? If not, we'll just plow through here and get this, make it all the way through. Mank Deem says, have you been following any of Eric Weinstein's podcasts in the last few months? That content really changed my perspective on him. I haven't been following it too closely. I have been seeing some clips, and I found it very interesting. I do want to listen to more for sure.
Anything to improve the likelihood that I'm going to be healthy, it just means I saved a couple dollars. And if the focus is on getting me healthy, and we change the way the health system works so that people can go in and get whatever tests the medical community feel are necessary to best diagnose their thing, to best diagnose their issue, that's what we should be aiming for. I'm not proposing any solution. I'm not an economist. I don't necessarily buy into what individuals are saying. I'm just saying, if we're going to use examples, let's put the blame where it should be. Let's put the responsibility where it should be. It's not somebody coming in to screw over their insurance company because they're in pain. And the insurance company is going to pass on that cost to all of us. So the real scam, from my perspective, and I fully acknowledge that I could be monumentally wrong here, is that you want to call it a scam in that there's a conspiracy amongst the medical community to scam the insurance community out of as much money as they can. And my view is that it's a scam in the sense that we've convinced people that healthcare needs to be expensive and that it's not something that people should have access to. And if we just point to this is the scam, the true scam is when we make it so that there are people who are dying for treatable things. Because the person who goes in to get their flu shot protects you and me too.
Of course.
And it helps us to have a healthier society. It's not 10 gallons of milk. And by the way, there are people who need probably 10 gallons of milk. They have way more kids than I'm ever going to have. I'm never going to have kids. And once upon a time, I had this notion of, why the hell should my tax dollars go to somebody else's kids going through school?
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying.
But they should go to that, because those kids are part of my community. They're going to be the ones that are working. They're going to be the ones that are curing whatever cancer I end up with in 20 years. It's worth it, even though I don't have kids, to provide and contribute to the society that I benefit from, which I don't think you deny.
I don't deny that at all.
It's interesting. A lot of people wouldn't have suspected, but Dinesh and Matt agree on a hell of a lot. There are a few details and a few points that they disagree on, and throughout the context of this conversation, but they do agree on a hell of a lot. And that just shows, like, people would expect Matt to be on this side and Dinesh to be on this side, when really these two guys are very close to center with their general ideology. And obviously, when they get on to the God topic and God issue, Matt kind of stays in the same position, but Dinesh goes further right. Or some people would even argue that Dinesh stays in the same place as well, because religion does really reach across both spectrums, but not as much on the left. But yeah, no, it's just very interesting. These two American men tend to agree on quite a bit.
That was me preaching. That's something I don't think he denies.
Right. So we shouldn't knock straw men here. The scam of healthcare.
Hold my beer.
The scam of healthcare, at least Obamacare, was a scam between the government and the insurance companies against the American people. And here's what I mean. Obama went to the healthcare companies, which he knew would oppose Obamacare because it involved greater federal control. And Obama basically said, listen, guys, I'm going to give you the greatest profit windfall in your history. Why? I'm going to force every living American to buy health insurance. It's not optional. It's kind of like if I were to force every American to buy broccoli. The broccoli industry would be orgasmic with delight. So you are going...
Thinking Sapien says at Pangburn, man, my phone died. I will be unable to rewatch part of this, or I'll have to rewatch part of this. No worries. And again, thank you so much for engaging tonight, Thinking Sapien. Amazing.
To be making money hand and foot, because there are a lot of people, young people particularly, who may not even need insurance. They're perfectly healthy. They can make a decision for themselves about whether they want it and what kind of insurance they want. I'm going to shove it down their throat whether they want to or not. In exchange for this profit windfall, I want you to lobby for Obamacare. I want you to fund my campaign. So we will go into this together. And so all the insurance companies, if you notice, we're all for Obamacare, running ads for Obamacare. Why? Because Obamacare was a scam perpetrated between the government and the industry, not the first time in history, by the way, on the American people. That's point one. Point two, the vast majority of our healthcare budget goes on older people. Not surprisingly, that's when you need the most healthcare. But that's when your root canal example completely breaks down, because anybody who is in the healthcare, loneliness. Old people, by and large, don't live with their kids. They don't see their grandkids. So because of loneliness, healthcare becomes a form of counseling, of therapy. I need this, I need that.
First of all, I'm in favor of counseling and therapy, especially for the elderly.
No, but I'm just saying it is an empirical fact, and you're all about empirical facts in the world. It's an empirical fact that the demand for healthcare in the elderly community is huge.
Andrew T. with a very salient point says, at Pangburn, Matt's ability to address a multitude of different audiences and demographics is unmatched in my opinion. Yes, I totally agree. And one of the reasons why I put Matt on so many stages with so many very famous thinkers, because of his ability to do just that. Very astute, Andrew T., moderator to the stars.
And a lot of it, and some of us may know this from personal example, that people like to see the doctor because because the doctor is, first of all, one of the few people who takes a direct personal interest in them, will spend by and large as much time as they want with the doctor because he's billing.
I get it.
So all I'm getting at is this: it's not like a root canal. You and I hate to see the doctor. We hate to see the dentist. We would never go for any reason other than we are being dragged there by our spouse or whatever. But I'm saying there are lots of people who like going to the doctor, who like to actually discuss their ailments, who think they have more ailments than they actually have.
If you can show, if you can show that this is a significant contributor to healthcare prices, I'll buy you a steak dinner.
Okay. If I can show you, okay.
I think it's good to end on that. That's a good deal. I think we're going to need like 3 or 4 more hours of conversation between these two guys. What do you guys think?
I don't have time tonight, though.
Not tonight, though. Well,
just on that, I do want to. Hey, I have my space pants on. I do want to produce some more conversations between Matt and Dinesh. I actually think their combination brings 2 key audiences together in the war of ideas that need to be having more conversations, and I think it's done a hell of a lot of good. So we'll definitely be doing more. Let's see what I have to say.
Let's just thank you very much, Dinesh and Matt, for taking the time and being brave and engaging in this discourse.
Magic tricks, $1, a little later, out in the lobby.
Matt will be doing magic in the lobby. We'll come hang out for a while with you guys. As you notice, I have my new shirt on. I got this made. It says, Ben Shapiro likes infant genital cutting. So for those of you who don't...
Oh, wait, we got a good one. It said, kill yourself, Travis, in the chat. Oh, I'd like to get a hold of that person.
Don't know, I've recently declared ideological war on Ben Shapiro. You can learn more about this at pang-burn.com.
For those of you who don't know who are in this chat, I just said it there, but I have declared ideological war on Ben Shapiro because Ben Shapiro likes his religion and he likes the religious practices of the religion he follows, which includes liking infant genital cutting, which is completely unnecessary of little boys. The numbers are dying off of people who actually do this catastrophe to little boys, but it still happens, and Ben thinks that parents should be allowed to still do this to little boys, and I disagree with him, and that's why I declared ideological war against him. And so if you want to learn more about that, just go to the warofideas.org, and I have my war terms laid out there for Ben, and I'm going to be using my resources to push more on Ben to address this issue and apply proper reasonability and skepticism to this, because I think he has the ability to change his mind on this.
To learn more about what that means. But anyways, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming tonight, and I hope to be back and to do more events in New York. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Guys, that was my... Oh, I think there's a little more. That was my... Oh, I'll just let this play out. So cool. So that was the third successful event I produced on Broadway in New York. I'm so happy that I've been able to work with so many great people in one of the biggest cities, most happening cities in the world, and I want to continue to go back to New York. It's a great place to do events like this. It's a hub of a lot of things always happening. So I've really enjoyed going to New York. Everywhere in the United States, in the UK, everywhere I've been able to produce events, it's been amazing. Let's see. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Bal Diablo says, at Pangburn, where I'm coming from, criminal law is based on punishing people who cause pain and suffering and loss to others, not rewarding people for achieving well-being and pursuing pleasure drive. I understand that we need to build laws that way. I'm talking about individual moral systems when I talk about the pleasure drive. And also, actually, all that stuff also applies to the pleasure drive because it's more pleasurable for us to achieve those moral goals by laying out these laws. The laws themselves become a pleasurable pursuit for us. Cullen Roche says, at Pangburn, you really need to do a conversation with these two closer to Kansas. So I'm thinking of Texas for the next location for a conversation between these two guys. Juka70 says, is that you running the actual debate on there? Yes, that is me. And I produced this debate and all the other debates and discussions that you find on this channel on YouTube. I think Sapien says, at Pangburn, holy shit, awesome job. I didn't know you produced debates like this. I just get notifications when you are live, and I've listened to you because you seem really cool and it's interesting. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. Tyler Giorno says, I don't think Dillahunty or D'Souza are particularly careful thinkers. I would be happy to recommend some names of people who I really think are on both sides. Yeah, that would be great. Put your recommendations in the chat or send them to info@pang-burn.com. Juka70 says, oh, how cool. I thought it was just a stream looking at a video on debate. Andrew T says, yeah, Travis is a great guy. So are you, Andrew T. All of you are great guys and girls and whatever you want to be called. Andrew says Texas would be interesting. But that will wrap up the stream for tonight. We got through it, guys. We will continue the next live watch party. Will probably be next week. And we're going to continue with Matt Dillahunty versus Jordan Peterson is next on the list. We've already done one segment of that. Maybe two. I think we've only done one. So we got to finish off the final two segments of that debate. So that will be the next one. I really appreciate all of you guys who showed up today. Remember to like this stream before you leave. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Always love to have new subscribers. Hit the notification bell for new videos. Help us out by liking our new videos, interacting with them, and engaging, most importantly, in intellectual discourse based in good faith argumentation. Thank you guys so much again. And as always, Let art and science inspire. Thank you very much. And a big thank you to Andrew T. and Keith Connolly for moderating, our 2 new moderators. Thank you so much.